Hello, I'm Deb Morgan of Not a Rehearsal, and I have been asked by Sharon Brown, the editor-in-chief of Motivate magazine, to conduct some interviews with contributing article writers. And I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted today to be joined by Nimo Warobi, who is going to talk to us about her article. Now, Nimo, I've read your article, and it's entitled Life Happens in a Series of Moments. It's in the first issue of the magazine. And my goodness, you've had 10 years of the world throwing all sorts of things at you. And you actually ask, what do most people do when life throws them tsunamis and earthquakes? Can I ask you just to briefly describe for me what sort of things you've been through in the last 10 years and how you've handled those tsunamis and earthquakes that have been thrown at you?
Well, I was just a normal person hanging around, going around, doing life. And I went to a hospital appointment, the famous obs and gynae. And during the check, the doctor told me that I was very menopausal and I was 39. Then he said, we need to check you. And then they found a growth. And he said, we have to check if it's cancer. And I turned to my best friend and I said, oh, at least my hair looks cute when it's short. And went through 3-day surgeries that didn't work. So I had to go under GA to get it out, but it was a polyp, thank God. And then I didn't deal with the fact that I had perimenopause. And then they told me I would never have children. And so I disassociate, I put things in a box and then I deal with them one by one. And because I retained my emotion, I was very stressed also because, as you know, with the Tory government, there's been a lot of defunding in mental health. So I was working in a community team. We didn't have staff. Everybody wanted PFIs. So you just are running like a headless chicken. And so I ended up with a nervous breakdown. That was 2013, 2014. And then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. My body ached and I was in so much pain. So under duress because of the nervous breakdown, I was put on medication. So I was a bit high for a very long time. I always tell people that's so funny. And so after the fibromyalgia, then I developed other things that have to do with blood pressure, depression, weight gain. And then I just stopped living. In fact, this is the first summer I've seen color in 10 years.
Oh, goodness.
I've been out and about and I've actually seen color. In terms of how I got through, I'm a perpetual optimist. And I seem to separate my brain between this is trash and what are we gonna do? So I remember when the doctor at St. Peter's asked me, do you want to have surrogacy? Do you want to adopt? I looked at him. I want to reinvent myself. I don't want to go through all these other things. And as a result, as I was walking out of Charing Cross, it was almost like a whisper, write a book. I'm like, writing a book and I'm in pain, brain, come on, And so I journaled a lot. I prayed to God like my life depended on it. I'm like, please, Mr. God, I can't cope. I want to die. And at some point, I had suicidal thoughts. But prayer, journaling, just a stubborn spirit. The day I'd wake up and I'd be like, okay, we're writing 1,000 words and going to bed. I had a bone marrow extract, by the way. My white count cells were at 1, which is equal to stage 4 leukemia or HIV. And I remember going to hospital and the doctor said, take off your clothes. And I'm like, what? And he said, you have to have a bone marrow extract. I don't know what you're telling me about. But it also brought on the reality of being alone in this country as a member of diaspora. But I will tell you, my strength was my mother. Mommy, I've never called my mom so many times as an adult. Even as a child, I didn't call her that much. My dad, who's my bestest friend. And then I had to leave work. I had to make a decision to leave work. That was a tough decision, and especially around Brexit. But I did leave work, and I did reinvent myself slowly. Like I said, this is the first summer I'm seeing light, so it's been a hard job, hard work. I use a walker to walk now because I was held hostage at home. But I'm really proud of the things that I've been able to do during that time. I interestingly was nominated and won an award on mental health advocacy in 2017. It's an award given to 100 women globally, and I was 4 of the Kenyans. And I now have an editor's choice article, which I wrote in 30 minutes. And I'm hoping to build a career in writing. I just need to do it at my own pace. So I'm
That's
okay now.
incredible. I'm glad to
Yeah,
hear that. And I mean, it's so inspiring to hear you. And I know we had a conversation before we started recording, which I want
right.
to talk about in a few moments. But
Sure.
hearing you tell your story about the last 10 years, it brought to mind another quote that I've pulled from your article in Motivate magazine, where you said, the decision you make after hearing bad news will determine your healing. And I think you've just illustrated that despite going down that path of having suicidal, some quite dark moments, which are completely understandable,
Mm-hmm.
actually your core decision was, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to beat it, and I'm going to reinvent myself from this. And
Absolutely.
that's coming through loud and clear. And you wouldn't be human if you hadn't had some dark thoughts after going through what you've been through, after those tsunamis and earthquakes. But I want to ask you now, you talk about looking at a future of writing, and I asked you about a book. You mentioned that you're looking to write a book in your article, and I asked you about your book, and you've told me some good news about that. So I'd like to find out a little bit more about the book, please, and the subject matter, the context, what your hopes are for that book.
The first thing when I decided to write the book was I wanted to open the Pandora box for people who do not see what invisible people go through. People with invisible illnesses go through. Actually, we are invisible. And I decided to be completely vulnerable, completely. And also, I thought about women, like women who go through domestic violence, who are in quietness and they're suffering and they go through depression and all the emotions that they go through. When I was writing that book, I was writing a book about people who are hidden. I mean, when you have a colleague who is under domestic violence, you don't see it. Somebody has breast cancer, you don't see it. I also wanted to introduce my cross-cultural experiences because I was born in Hackney and then I was raised in Kenya. So my cultural behavior and my custom and traditions in dealing with pain is very different from a Caucasian or an Asian or whatever. How we deal with pain is very different. Secondly, I wanted to inspire women who are either disabled or because of invisible illnesses, people who have multiple sclerosis, people who have, lupus, people who have fibromyalgia. The list is endless. And I wanted to inspire them in the sense that, yes, we have an illness. Yes, sometimes we have to leave work. Now, here's the thing. You either choose to live or to sit complaining. And it's about reinventing yourself and transferring the tasks that you've accumulated to be able to live a life wholly despite your illness. So your illness becomes a little bit of you, but not all of you. I remember sitting at work one day, it was 7 o'clock. I was busy balancing budgets for social services and with, West London Mental Health Trust where I worked. And I called my boss because he was at back. I said, Sam, I can run my own organization. I do budgets, I balance sheets, I manage a team. My team is happy. They're all getting promoted. Why am I still sitting here? And the seed was planted that I want to run an organization that people move up and go on. Now, transferring from being an able person was to also think about resources and what I can do to help myself. So in part, writing the book, The Diary of a Nameless Woman is what I think we're going to call it, was an ode to women who go through so many things silently and they don't show it. I mean, something simple like finance. When a woman has breast cancer or MS and she was working or not working, despite the fact that now the government does support people, if you're earning something like 40K a year and you stop working and you're living off the government, it goes to 20K. And then you get served a Section 21 if you can't pay rent. Do you go to food banks? And so I bring all this out to show people that there are problems, but I changed. I also became a better person. I became more compassionate. I was already a sucker, but now I'm a double sucker. I'm now so sensitive to people and pain. I'm so sensitive and I find it interesting when people keep telling people, be kind. I thought that was normal. I know this message everybody says, it should be normal. So that was my intention with my book. And I hope that as I have a second book that I'm going to write, this is the first, then there's the sequel, is hopefully to get opportunities to speak to women. I always have this vision in my head, not standing on a podium. I don't like podiums. Wearing a pair of jeans, flat-footed, talking to women and telling them, look, I'm a bit wobbly. And this is my friend, Wendy Walker. That's my walker. And we wrote a book and this is where it brought me. So my hope is to inspire people to take on a purpose that they may not understand. I've written a book, I don't know where it will take me, and it doesn't bother me. I let it go. And if it gives you an opportunity to sit on the floor with women and tell them, guess what? I slept in my pajamas 3 days in a row because I was feeling like crap. How about you? And they suddenly feel normal. So that's what my hope is. And I know it will.
And you talked about allowing the book to make you vulnerable, or to be vulnerable within the book. And I think there's such a strength and power in vulnerability. When others see that vulnerability, they feel that they too can be as vulnerable as that. And that's so powerful and so helpful to other women. And I've got no doubt that you're going to end up speaking to other women with,
I hope so.
with your friend Wendy.
Yes.
But I was also interested before we started this interview.
Mm,
You said you had an even bigger dream as a result of the book, and you hoped, that would lead you on to other things.
mm,
And you told me you wanted to build cities of refuge. Can
yes.
you elaborate on that, please? Because I think that's just such an incredible vision and dream.
Well, cities of refuge is actually it's a biblical concept. When people were in trouble, say for example, you had a fight with somebody and somebody got hurt. This is the old Hebrew Torah kind of stuff. If you ran away and hid yourself in the refuge, cities of refuge, you were taken care of and nobody could touch you. Now, Africa, as much as it's growing, the behavior towards domestic violence is still archaic. So you turn up at a police officer and he'd say, "Oh, that's you and your husband," or it's not our problem. Women can't run. There is no place to run. There's no place to hide. And my hope with cities of refuge is to build healing centers. So you have, um, I hope to have a whole year season with a person because I believe in seasons, 4 seasons. So you've got autumn, summer, winter, and I can't remember the fourth one.
Spring.
What is, huh?
Spring.
Spring, right. So wherever they come in, of course, they're in their winter season. So you take care of them, you nourish them, you feed them, you give them information, but you love them. So that when spring comes, you see the little daffodils coming out because now somebody's feeling better. They are now beginning to understand behavior and stuff. Then we have summer. Then we have the opportunity to enjoy what we've done, what we've grown, what I've learned. We're able to find a way for her to get a job, have money, and then again in autumn she takes a rest to review that year and how it's gone. And I I I I hate pain. I hate women having pain. Um, and I would love to ensure that women are safe, children are safe. So um, we have property in Kenya, and I'm trying to bribe my father to change the deed to me, which I doubt he'll do. But it's about buying a property, making sure that they have like a homely, it's not dormitory, like little huts. So you have 3 people in a bathroom, and it's with a bathroom and a little living room and a nice room for them, so that they then create relationships within the people they're with. Then have a garden where because we got red soil, plant, because you got to work on the earth. And that then will sustain the organization where you're able to feed yourself, and then also you sell out. So whatever you sell outside becomes an income for you. So when you leave, you're not leaving without money.
Mm-hmm.
But then also when you're done with that 4th season, my expectation is then you become a mentor. So that if somebody else comes in, I'll be like, hey, why don't you go and see Debbie? She's gone through our program for a year and she will be your mentor. And then we'll have a psychologist, therapist. I pray to God I can afford to put in a spa so that they're able to enjoy that. But the key thing is to allow the woman to find her value again. And with that value, for 4 seasons, we come up with a strategic plan to help her bloom again in summer and spring. Does that sound a bit crazy?
No, that sounds absolutely fantastic, and I have no doubt it's going to happen. I mean, you just brought it to life. I could see it really, really clearly. I think it's such a fantastic vision, such an inspiring dream, and your whole story, it takes me back to that quote that I brought out of your article at the beginning. The decision you make after hearing bad news will determine your healing. And
Yeah.
you've really taken that and you've decided that your bad news isn't going to keep you down. It's going to drive you forward, and it's going to help you help others. And your vision for the future, your book, your vision for the cities of refuge, it's absolutely incredible. I wish you all the best of luck. If I
Thank
can
you.
help in any way, please let me know. And
I will.
thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to interview you today. Thank you very much to Nimo Warobi. Thank you.
Right. Have a nice afternoon.